Every institution aspires to excel, but excellence in today's higher education landscape is no longer accidental. It is achieved through data-driven planning, measurable outcomes, and continuous performance improvement aligned with the national benchmarks. With this perspective, I warmly welcome you all to today's webinar on NIRF, the National Institutional Ranking Framework, a key instrument that guides institutions toward quality enhancement, transparency, and national competitiveness. I'm Smriti from Team Luneblaze, and it's truly a pleasure to have our community of educators, academic leaders, and quality practitioners joining us today for our webinar series. Thank you all for being here and for your continued commitment to strengthening the institutional quality in line with national and global standards. With that well said, before we proceed ahead, let me give you a little brief about Luneblaze. With over 9+ years of experience in accreditation, we at Luneblaze are helping the educational institutions with quality assurance and have been partnered with around 50+ higher educational institutions. And Luneblaze support institutions in strengthening their NAC and NIRF performance across different key parameters. So about the webinars that we host currently, we are focused upon, organizing regular webinars on NAC, NIRF, and the related accreditations. And to support the institutions basically in understanding the national accreditation and ranking expectations, performance indicators, and the quality benchmarks. So these webinars basically offer the expert guidance from professionals with hands-on experience in accreditation-related documentation, data submission, validation, and performance analysis, supporting institutions across diverse categories and disciplines. Practical and actionable strategies is also one of the parts which is aligned with these, these performances parameters, including the teaching, learning, research, outreach, governance, student outcomes, all of these helping institutions to strengthen their evidence mapping, improve data quality, and enhance the overall performance. And this is also an initiative for collaborating learning platform that brings together institutions and the educators working on accreditation and ranking preparation, enabling the sharing of best practices, performance benchmarks, peer learning, and collective improvement. Each of these webinars is a part of our monthly webinar series on different topics on NAC and NIRF to ensure your readiness and performance. And these are basically designed to, make continuous quality improvement in a more structured, achievable, and sustainable for all the higher education institutions out there. So moving ahead, it's our pleasure to welcome the, our expert speaker for today's webinar, Professor Dr. Sreela Dasgupta. So a very warm welcome, ma'am. She is highly accomplished academic leader with over 20+ years of experience in academic leadership and consultancy, and is widely recognized for her expertise in institutional autonomy and academic governance. She is a seasoned specialist in NEP 2020 implementation, curriculum design, and outcome-based education, with extensive experience in guiding institutions on various accreditations like NIRF, NAC. Quality assurance and accreditation related all the processes. Our work has significantly supported institutions in strengthening compliance and data frameworks, improving the performance across the teaching and learning, research and outcomes, and achieving the sustainable academic excellence and improved institution visibility. With a strong focus on strategic planning and institutional development, Professor Dasgupta has consistently helped institutions translate policy frameworks into practical, measurable, and impactful academic systems. We are truly honored to have with her us today, and as she shares her valuable insights on institutional quality enhancement, accreditation readiness, and strategic academic planning, enabling us all, the institutions, to achieve the long-term growth and excellence. So before we hand over to ma'am, let's first discuss briefly about what we have all in the sequence for today's webinar. And over here on the slide, you can see the things. First, we'll explore about Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, and their impact on the higher education. Then we will move into understanding the National Institutional Ranking Framework, NIRF, including how it measures institutional performance. We will then briefly discuss the key NIRF parameters across and the process for filing and best practices. After that, we'll examine a case study to see the principles in action. We will now then pause for a question answer session, providing you all with an opportunity to raise whatever questions you have related to NIRF, and then we'll conclude the NIRF thing. We'll then move ahead to see that how Luneblaze can support your institutions in both NIRF and NAC, other accreditation related processes, and finally touch upon the webinar series. Then will wrap up with another question answers round where you all can unmute yourself and connect directly with ma'am for any of your doubts. It is now my pleasure to hand over the session to our esteemed speaker, Professor Dr. Sreela Dasgupta, to guide us all through the NIRF. Thank you and a very warm welcome, ma'am. Over to you.
Thank you, Smriti ma'am, for your kind words of introduction. And it's truly my pleasure to be associated with you because it is our common goal to enrich the education sector of our nation, and through education, we shall all strive forward towards nation building. Very warm good evening to all the participants. We have tried our best to assimilate everything for you all so that it is easy for you to understand about NIRF. And as ma'am has already said, that once this is over, in case you have any doubts, please feel free to ask any questions. You can also put your questions on the chat box and we'll be happy to answer them. So, as is always our custom, because we are associated with something as noble as education, building the future of our country, we begin with the Sustainable Development Goals. And as you can see, the SDG 4, which is there, which is on quality education, is what our focus is. And over the years, as we have seen in the last two webinars, which I had taken with many of you may have attended that webinar, which I had taken, where we had discussed about outcome-based education. And the SDG 4 quality education under the UN of 2015 resolution speaks about education being from that perspective. Next slide, please, ma'am. Ma'am, can we have the next slide, please?
Yeah. There's an issue, just a minute.
Yes.
Sorry, it has moved a little earlier. Just a moment, please.
Yes, so when we start off with NIRF, I know that many of you may have already registered in the portal and many of you may have already filled up or are in the last few steps of filling up. But we hope that through this webinar, you will have a clear idea of if you wish to rectify any of the parameters, you will be able to do so. So NIRF, or the National Institutional Ranking Framework, as we know it, is an initiative of the Government of India, Ministry of Education, and more importantly, MHRD, or the Human Resource Development. It was initially introduced on September 29th, 2015, and the aim of introducing this quality parameter was to bring all education platforms, all educational institutions on the same platform, so that there is an assessment of their quality parameters against each other, and thereby helping them to improve and benefiting the student in the long run. So the NIRF basically has devised a methodology through which it is able to rank all the institutions in the country. Whoever participates in NIRF, it is able to rank them in the order from 1 to 100. So it is a quality parameter, and many of us, I think it is mandatory that all of us now should enroll under NAC and get ourselves accredited. Although the new NAC parameters have not come, if you are aware of the old NAC parameters, if your institution has already gone in with it, you will remember that in criterion 6 under governance and leadership, the last question asks you whether your institution has participated in any of the quality parameter processes. And over there, NIRF is one of the options which is given, which we can take. So it is an added bonus for us, and that is how it gets reflected also in NAC as a quality process. Next slide, please, ma'am. So how did this process begin, and how did it improve from 2015? We are now in 2026, which means it is 11 years since we have started this NIRF quality parameter. So in 2016, 2015 it was introduced. So 2016 was the first year when the rankings were released, and at that time, if you can see, it was just a mere 2,734. In 2020, the data which is written over here is 6,560, and as of today, it has crossed 8,500. And we are sure that as time goes by, more and more number of institutions will participate in it, because each one likes to know where exactly they are placed vis-a-vis another. So initially, when it started off in 2015-16, there were only 4 categories. I have just acronymed them. The first one, U, is university, second E is engineering, M for medical, and PH for pharmacy. So these were the only 4 categories which were available when it first started in 2016. But by the time it came to 2020, the number of categories expanded to a large extent. And as more and more institutes participated, so the categories included diverse sectors, like, say, for example, apart from university, engineering, medical, and pharmacy, we also had management, medicine, law, architecture, dental, and colleges. Like, say, for example, a college which just offers arts, science, and commerce, or only arts and science, even they need to be assessed against each other and realize where they are placed vis-a-vis another. And there is also another category which is known as overall. So say, for example, there is college A, which offers engineering as well as management. So it can enroll itself both under engineering as well as under management separately. And there is a third category also under which it can enroll, which is overall. So overall, how is it ranked, taking both engineering and management together? However, you have to remember that only when the ranking is done, when the comparative assessment is done, then at that time, the institutions belonging to a particular category are assessed against each other. So a pharmacy, an institute offering pharmacy will be assessed against institutes which offer pharmacy, not institutes which offer medical also, or, say, for example, dental also. If it's not offering, it will not be assessed against those categories of institutes. In 2021, a new category was added, which was called a research institute, because we now have several research institutes, and the government has come up with the initiative that these research institutes, if they are enrolling PhD students, they should also be able to, they should also be degree awarding centers. And in that context, they were also included as one of the categories. Now, the eligibility of a research institute is very much different than from what we are going to go through today. Suppose your institution wishes to enroll as a research institute, then they can write separately to the NIRF uh, email and let them know that they wish to participate as a research institute also. But there are two conditions, two very important conditions for that. The first condition is that there has to be 500 research publications in indexed database. That means either in Scopus or in Web of Science. And the other is that there has to be 1,000 PhD doctoral students who are either enrolled or who have been awarded the degree. So only if it fulfills these two criteria, both these two criteria have to be fulfilled, only then they are entitled to be enrolled under research institute. Some of the other categories which have been added as post to 2020 are innovation centers, open universities, skill universities, and agricultural and allied sectors. Next slide, please, ma'am. So as you can see, this gives you an overview of the different categories which are listed under NIRF. You have overall medical, pharmacy, agricultural, allied sectors, architecture and planning, law, dental, open university, etc., etc. And also for the sustainable development goals, institutes which only cater to achieving the sustainable development goals. So for that also a separate category has been created. Uh, so the parameters which are there, which we are going to discuss as we go through it, we will realize that obviously because two institutes which are assessed, if they belong to the same category, only then they are assessed against each other. But if they belong to separate categories, then they will be against others who are in that category, and therefore there are slight changes in the parameters. We will discuss each of them in detail. Next slide, please. So, when we say that the institutions are ranked, then we try to the ranking tells us about the performance of the institute across the different disciplines that it offers. So institutes are compared with each other, like I said, in a same category. So engineering institute with an engineering institute, medical institute with a medical institute, and so on. And then ranking is given. So the rankings which are from 1 to 100 are listed. If you go to the NIRF portal, you will find that the rankings are listed with the score. But recently, they have also started adding rankings from 101 to 200. However, over there, just the names are listed. The score or the data sheet is not provided. It is only provided for 1 to 100. So basically, you come to know that in these different categories, what are the parameters of excellence? When you go to the data sheet, which is attached on the NIRF portal, if you go, you will be able to see the data sheets of, say, for example, the colleges which are ranked, say, on number 2 or number 3 or number 11 or 59, and compare one with the other and understand how are they better than yours, in which way are they better, in which disciplines they are better. Next slide, please. So what is the eligibility? The eligibility is that it should be there for at least 3 academic years. Now, as we go forward, we will see that, and if you have also filled up the NIRF data, you will see that they ask you for the number of students who are there in your UG program. Now, a UG program is generally of 3 years. So, unless your institute is operational for 3 years, you cannot give the data. And that is why the first criteria is be operational for at least 3 academic years. If your institute is only a PG institute and does not offer UG programs at all, in that case, the 2 years will be taken into consideration, but in that case, the other parameters will differ. So the second point of eligibility which is there, which is have graduated at least 3 batches, because each uh, the students who are there in each year, when you have to calculate, when you have to find out, like what is the pass percentage, or how have they been placed once they have passed out, you need the data for at least 3 years to be able to reach a comparative assessment, and therefore this condition is also there. And of course you should either be recognized by UGC or by AICTE, otherwise you cannot be participating in this NIRF ranking. So when you want to participate, the first thing that you need to do is to register your institute in the NIRF portal. So you will be given a login ID and a password. The password you have to create for yourself, the login ID you choose, and then there will be a captcha. You put that and you log inside the portal. Once you log inside the portal, we will show you the sheets also. And in that, you have to fill up the data as per what is asked. Now, it is unlike NAC. This is a very important thing. Unlike NAC, which is mandatory and all institutes are required to comply with NAC, or else they will be refused grants and they will not be able to apply for NOCs of any of their vacant posts. NIRF is, up till now, it is not like that. It is purely voluntary. But most educational institutions go in for it because it is a good benchmark. It gives visibility to the, and it allows the institute to understand exactly where they are placed vis-a-vis the others, either in the same region or across the nation. Next slide, please. So the first question which should come to our minds is, we do participate in NAC and we do participate in NIRF, and if we call both of them as quality parameters, then why do we call NAC or why do we call NBA as an accreditation process, and why do we call NIRF as a ranking parameter? What is it that is different, or what is it that is similar? Now, so we have to first understand what is accreditation and what is ranking. How are they different or are they similar? What is it? So accreditation basically is a process. It is a process to ensure there is quality compliance, that you have put all the parameters to achieve quality, to achieve excellence in academics, in holistic education, in extracurricular activities, co-curricular activities, in skill development, and so on. Whereas ranking is an assessment of the overall performance of the institution. Now, in accreditation, you can participate in it. And when you participate in it, what they basically see is whether you fulfill the minimum standards which are set by UGC or by AICTE. If you fulfill those, obviously you will have cleared the basics, the ground level of NAC. You will not get a score like A++ or A+. I'm now talking about the, I'm now speaking about the old NAC system, because we have not got the new NAC system as of now. But when you participate in NAC, then if you have fulfilled the minimum standards or the norms which are set by UGC or AICTE for their different institutions, then in that case you will qualify as being accredited, which is what your binary accreditation system is. Ranking, on the other hand, does not mean that you need to meet certain parameters or certain norms set by these regulatory authorities. It means that you are being assessed in a comparative manner with sister and brother institutions across the nation, find out how are you placed in your region, across the nation. Next slide, please. So now that we have understood what is accreditation and what is ranking, now we come to three important quality assurance, how should I put it? Quality assurance systems which help us achieve these accreditations or help us achieve the rankings. So we have on one side, we have NAC and NBA, which are accreditation systems. And on the other side, we have NIRF, which is a ranking parameter. Now, there are certain similarities, although two of them are accreditation parameters and one is a ranking parameter. However, there are similarities between them. And what are the similarities? All of them work towards finding out what are the quality parameters achieved. So have you reached that standard? Yes or no? If you have reached that standard, how much have you reached? And in NRF, they find out if I have reached, how much have I reached with respect to you. Now, obviously, when I want to reach a certain standard parameter, a certain quality parameter, if I want to reach a goal, then I need to put in some efforts. That is my input. And when I put in that much of effort, obviously some kind of quality will be achieved, which is my output. So all three of them, NAC, NBA, and NIRF, assesses these quality parameters through the input and the output processes. And thereby, they measure the degree of excellence. Next slide, please. But having said that there are similarities, there are differences as well. So what are the differences? No, earlier slide, please, ma'am. Yes, what are the differences? So if you look at NAC and NBA, both NAC and NBA are to do with absolute values. So whatever score you get in NAC or in NBA, they are the absolute values. Absolute values means values which are only reflective of you, what you have done, how much have you achieved. Whereas NRF is a relative value, because we discussed earlier that it is a comparative assessment. So it is a relative value. Now in NAC, your institution, the institution is assessed for the quality parameters over a fixed period of years. So earlier, like it was 5 years or 7 years, now it may be, when the new guidelines come, it may be 3 years or it may be 5 years, whatever. So over a fixed number of years, that score remains valid. With NBA, again, we don't assess the quality of the institution, we assess the quality of the program. And again, over here, it is either for 3 years or 6 years, depending upon the score that you have achieved. In NIRF, it is different. It is a measurement of the performance of the institution, but on a yearly basis. It's not like for a fixed number of years. Whatever may be your score, you may be ranked number 1 in the country, but still you will have to undergo this process every year. Now in NAC, earlier the grading was done on a 4-point scale. So you got a score of 3.72 or 2.91 or 3.08 or whatever. In NBA, the marks are given out of 1000, whereas in NIRF, like I said, 1 to 100, the data sheets are available. So earlier it was just 1 to 100. Now they also put up 101 to 200, but with no data sheets, just the name of the institutions and the rankings. So in NAC, it is a measurement of the continuous fulfillment. NAC is never a one-time process. NAC is a process in continuum. So whether we have received the guidelines or not received the guidelines, the quality parameters, the strive to achieve the quality parameters should not stop. That should remain a process in continuum. So it is a process in continuum. to set the quality standards for the institute. In NBA, it is the same thing, but it is related to a program and not to the entire institute. Whereas in case of NIRF, you are doing again assessing the quality parameters, but it is relative because you are doing a comparative assessment and then you rank them from top to the bottom. So whoever comes as 1 is the topmost and whoever comes as 100th is the last in that comparative assessment. NAC and NBA are both process-centric as well as data-centric. So there is qualitative as well as quantitative. NIRF broadly is data-centric. There are very, very few questions where you have an MCQ type or where you have to just put yes or no or something. Broadly, 95, 90, 98, 99%, I will say, is data-centric. Now, in NIRF, we have only 5 metrics, which we are going to discuss as we go forward. But in NAC and NBA, we do have these 5 metrics. But apart from these 5 metrics also, we have others as well. So next slide, please. Okay, so what are these 5 metrics which are there in NIRF? The first one, which is called teaching, learning, and resources. And in short, we call it as the TLR. Now, TLR in an educational institution is, of course, the one which is the foundation. It is the foundation on which the institute is built, the foundation on which we can calculate whether the quality parameters have been achieved by the students or not. If we have a good TLR system in place, then we can develop our institution into a research hub. And that is why the second parameter of research and professional practice. If our students have received good education through good curriculum, through good pedagogical techniques, then in that case, the outcome will be good when they complete their graduation or post-graduation, which is what is reflected in the third parameter, which is graduation outcome. If we are an educational institution, then the educational institution should be inclusive, should include all sectors, all communities, and that all sectors of the community should be equally represented. And that is what is the next one, which is outreach and inclusivity. The last one, which is perception, is not present either in NAC or NBA. It is something which is unique only to NIRF and not to anyone else. We will take it up as we go forward. The perception of the institution. Next slide, please. So we have the NIRF scores. Why do we have a ranking from 1 to 100? Why not 1 to 500 or 1 to 600 or 1 to 700 or 1 to 1000 like in the case of NBA? So scores are calculated out of 100 and each of these scores, each of these parameters which we discussed, that is TLR, RP, GO, OI and PP, they all have certain weightage assigned to them. Now, this weightage is not the same everywhere. It is slightly different for different categories. I will show that. I've just included one line over here, which says that it is slightly different for architecture, but I'll elaborate it in the next slide. Now, all of them, TLR, RP, TLR is teaching, learning, resources, RP is research, practice, GO is graduate outcome, OI is outreach and inclusivity, and PP is perception, peer perception. All of them, if you can see, the value, the scores which are assigned to them is 100. So they total up to 500. But the weightage is not the same. This weightage which is shown over here is of a college category. So TLR has been given a weightage of 0.40, RP 0.4515, GO 0.25. And these three parameters, TLR, RP, and GO, varies across the different categories. Categories are what we learned beforehand, like you have engineering, medical, dental, law, architecture, so on and so forth. So TLR, RP, and GO is not the same across the categories. But OI and PP is the same everywhere. So the weightage assigned to OI and PP is 0.10 across all categories, and PP also is 0.10 across all categories. So if I multiply 100 with 0.40, my score comes to 40. 100 multiplied by 0.15 comes to 15. 100 multiplied by 0.25 comes to 25. And then for OI and PP, it comes to 10 when I multiply 100 with 0.10. If you sum up all these scores which are in the column underneath score, you will get a score of 100. That is why the rankings are from 1 to 100, although the marks assigned are out of 100 for a particular category, because weightages are different. So for an institute, let's say for example, an institute is there, Institute X, which has participated in NIRF, and it has got 60 marks in TLR. So we multiply 60 with 0.40 and it comes to 24, which is the score which is reflected in the data sheet of the institute. For RP, the institute got 30. 30 with 0.15, so I get 4.5. If I multiply 50 with 0.25 for the graduate outcome, I get 12.5. And then I get 7 and 2.5 for OI and PP when I multiply the values 70 and 25 with the weightages of 0.10. And so my score comes to, when I sum up, my score comes to 50.5. I hope this calculation of score still here is absolutely clear with everybody. Can we go ahead, please? You can give me a thumbs up to let me know that you have understood till here how the scores are calculated. So we go to the next slide. Next slide, please, ma'am. Okay, so now we are comparing the parameters across NAC, NBA, and NIRF. Now in NIRF, we have kept only these 5 parameters because, like we said, in NAC and NBA, there are several other parameters as well. But we said that these parameters are also reflected in NAC and NBA. So let us see how much of it, what is the weightage in NAC or what is the weightage in NBA. So TLR, which has got a weightage of 40% in NIRF, is only 15% in NAC and 13% in NBA. Research and professional practice is 15% in NIRF and only 10% in NAC and NBA. Graduate outcome is 25% in NIRF, but only 5% in NAC and 8% in NBA. OI and PP are 10% in NIRF. Neither of them appear in NBA, and OI is just 1% in NAC. So, although the weightage comes to 100 in case of NIRF with these same parameters, approximately about 30, I think it is about 31 over there, and in NBA also it is up. So you can see how much they differ from each other. Now this weightage which has been given is for college category and for law category. Like I said earlier, for outreach and inclusivity and peer perception, it is the same across all category. For architecture, the TLR is 40. The research and professional practice is 20 instead of 15 in college category. And the graduate outcome is 20. They have reduced it by 5. For all others, that means whether it is medical, dental, pharmacy, management, etc., the TLR reduces to 30, RPP goes up to 30, so they are giving more focus on research. The graduate outcome remains 20 as in the case of architecture. And lastly, again, we are reiterating that PP or peer perception is unique, which is there only in NIRF. It is not there either in NAC or in NBA. Next slide, please, ma'am. Okay, so we come to the first category, which is teaching, learning, and resources. Now, teaching, learning, and resources has got 100 marks in it. Now, how are these 100 marks bifurcated? Okay, so the first one which is there is student strength, and your which is acronymed as SS, assigned a value of 20 for a college category. But if your institute has doctoral students as well, then it is 15 for the UG and the PG programs and 5 for the doctoral students. So the total remains the same, 20, but it is bifurcated between UG-PG programs and between and doctoral programs. The second one is the faculty-student ratio, with emphasis on permanent faculty, which has a value of 30. The next one is combined metric for faculty with PhD or equivalent degree and experience. So that is labeled as FQE, faculty quality experience, which has got 20 assigned to it. The next is the financial resources and their utilization, which is FRU, which has got 30 assigned to it. You have online education and multiple entry exit Indian knowledge system and regional languages, which are not there in college. The quantitative metrics is not there in college education. Online education is not there at all. Online education is there in the overall category. Now, in the online education, they suppose your college has certain programs where you complete a certain percentage of it online, or you have credits assigned to SWAYAM courses along with the credit transfer from the SWAYAM assessments. In such cases, the online education is taken into account. And in that, there are 10 marks which is assigned, and it is a relative value. And multiple entry exit has come in because of NEP 2020. Indian knowledge system and regional languages, you know, they do modern Indian languages, they do include it nowadays. Mostly for college category, they just have, what do you call it? Multiple choice or things like that. Have you done it or not? Have you complied with it? But others, for overall, yes, it is there. But not in the college category. Next slide, please. So now what we will do is we will take up each one of them and we'll see how the score is calculated. So the first one is SS or student strength. So the formula for how does NIRF give you the mark and what can you do to increase those marks? So the first one, which is SS, the formula is F is the function of NT comma NE multiplied by 15 plus F of NP multiplied by 5. Now this NP and 5, I told you, NP stands for doctoral students. NT is the total sanctioned approved intake, UG and PG taken together. So obviously your approved intake will only be for the first year, and hence you have to give the number over here. The quantification will be only for, say for example, you have got an approved intake of 200 students for your Bachelor of Arts program. So it will be 200 over there for your UG program. And you have, say, another 20 seats for political science, which is the only PG program that you offer. So it will be 200 plus 20, which will be 220. That is only the approved intake for the first year. But NE is your total number of students enrolled. That semester 1 and 2, plus second year, semester 3 and 4, plus third year, semester 5 and 6 for UG. And if you have PG also, then first year, semester 1 and 2, and second year, semester 3 and 4. So total number of students across all the programs for all the years is NE. Your NP refers to your doctoral students, the students who are pursuing your doctoral program, not students who have been admitted that year. They may have been, say, for example, you are filling up the data sheet for you have participated in NIRF and you are uploading your data, which is now the last date is, I think, the 20th of February. So you are filling up the data for your doctoral students. Then you are supposed to include the number of students who are over there as doctoral students, whether they have been admitted in the year 24, 25, 23, 24, 22, 23, 20, 21, so long as they are with you and they are pursuing their program, that needs to be, that number needs to be given over here. However, if a student has submitted their thesis, even then you can include, but over, they get a letter saying that your viva has been taken and you have now is approved and therefore you're eligible for your doctoral degree. So if the viva has been taken and if the student has passed the viva OC examination, that number is not to be included. If the student's convocation has happened, that number is not to be included. In all other cases, you are supposed to include that. So for a college category where I don't have any doctoral students, the formula will be F of NT comma NE into 20. Now S, that is student strength, is a relative metric. It is not an absolute value. It is relative. So how will you make it come to 15? So when you fill up this data, you see that your number of students which are enrolled are as close as, so like I said, I have 200 students for Bachelor of Arts and 20 students for my 20 students for my PG program. So approved intake is 220. So if I have the enrolled student number also as 220, so it will be 220 divided by 220, which is 1, multiplied by 20. So I will get full marks of 20 out of 20. But if I have, say, for example, the students have left in between. So now I just have 100 and the sanctioned intake is 220, but I have only 100 students. Then in that case, my number is going to become 7.5 because it has become reduced to 50%. Is that clear? Can we go ahead? The first one, SS. So when we fill up this data, we should be careful of what number we give to make the enrolled student number be as close to the approved intake. So now we go to the next one, which is the faculty student ratio. The faculty student ratio, I'm taking the college category. I have put the formula for engineering and medical because we may have people from different sectors. For a college category, it is 30 multiplied by 20 into F upon N. Now, what is F? F is your total number of faculty. How many faculty do you have in the college? Now, your faculty which is there, all your full-time faculty will only be considered, not part-time, not clock hour basis, but has to be full-time. Should have taught in both the semesters, but they can either be regular, that means approved by the university, or they may be on contractual appointment, or they may be a visiting faculty, or they may be a ad hoc faculty, or they may be a temporary faculty. So long as they have taught in both the semesters, they will be considered in this quantified number. Otherwise, they will not be considered. And what is N? N is the total cumulative value for NT and NP. What is NP? NP is the number of doctoral students. What is NT? NT is the number of students who have been enrolled. Now remember, when you have to fill up the faculty data sheet as well in the end, where you have to give the qualification of the faculty. If when you are giving the qualification of the faculty, any faculty who has got a qualification of bachelor's degree will not be counted, because if I have only a UG degree, my degree should be one above the program which I am teaching. So if I have if I am to teach a UG program, I cannot be having just a bachelor's degree. I need to be a minimum master's degree or a PhD or equivalent or something higher than that. So if my F and upon N is, the ideal ratio is 1:15 or 1:20 for a college category. Why? Because if I have 30 into, now look at the formula for a college category. If it is 30 multiplied by 20 into 1/20, 20 gets cancelled. I have 1. 30 multiplied by 1 is 30. So I'm getting full marks. Now, as this faculty student ratio goes on, like from 1:20, it becomes 1:30, 40, 50, 60. This value of 30 will go on going down. And if it becomes 1:70, then the FSR is set to 0. You are not given any marks for that. But in a recent survey, it has been found that very few institutions have a 1:70 faculty student ratio. Next slide, please. So the next one is of FQE, or faculty quality and experience. So the last one, if you see that the faculty student ratio, that was an absolute value, because you are giving the total number of faculty, you are giving the total number of students enrolled. So it is an absolute value. The first one was a relative value. So now you have got the score calculation for FQE, or the faculty quality experience. So FQE, which is the sub-parameter over here, consists of two sub-parameters. One is FQ and the other one is FE. And both of them have been given equal weightage, that is 10 and 10. Total comes to 20. So FQ is equal to 10 into FRA upon 75. What is FRA? FRA is the percentage of faculty with PhD or equivalent with respect to the total number of faculty. So if I have 100 faculty and if 75 of them have got a PhD degree, then my FRA will be 75%. So 10 into 75 upon 75 becomes 10 marks, which means I'm getting full marks over there. That is my experience. So when how can we make it come in our favor? Like the first one I said, student strength, see that the enrolled students is as close to the approved intake as possible. The second one, where I said faculty student ratio, count all the faculty which are there in both the semesters, irrespective of whether they are contractual, ad hoc, regular, whatever. Now here, how do I increase? Here, what you do is, when the faculty is recruited, try to recruit faculty who are in the process of, who are in the last stages of their PhD submission, or their viva is pending or something like that, so that by the time the year ends and you are going to submit your data for NIRF, you will have one more faculty with a PhD degree. So your marks are going to increase over there. So greater than or equal to 75 will give you full marks. Now the next one, which is faculty experience. Now this has been divided into three parts: F1, F2 and F3. Now suppose what is F1? F1 is faculty with less than 8 years of experience. F2, faculty between 8 to 15 years of experience, and F3 is faculty with more than 15 years of experience. So you have entry level, mid level and high level of experience. Okay. Now, when you have this F1, F2 and F3, say for example, the total number of faculty in your institution is 10. So you should have 3 faculty in F1, 3 faculty in F2, and 4 faculty in F3. That way, that is why if you see the formula in the end, it is 3 for F1, 3 for F2, and 4 minimum for F3. That is the reason why the number varies over there. Now, the ideal ratio is to have a balance between all three and to have 1:1:1. The closer you are, this is a relative value, by the way, the closer you are to 1:1:1, the greater the probability of yours getting full marks for FE. So how can an institute improve its mark over here? It also reflects upon the retention factor of the institute. I don't want to leave the institute and go. So obviously, even if I have joined in entry level this year, someday or other I'll go to mid level, and someday or other I'll go to higher level. So what should the institute do to improve upon this? Before your recruitment process starts every year, then do an analysis of the faculty that you have. Find out how many faculty fall in F1, F2, or F3, and likewise see how much you need to improve. Whatever can be done, please do it so that this ratio improves. Next slide, please. So the last one which we have is FRU, or Faculty Resource Utilization. Now financial resource utilization. So FRU, again, this is relative. This is not an absolute value. So FRU is equal to 7.5 into F of BC plus 22.5 into F of BO. Now BC and BO are the expenditures. BC is the average annual capital expenditure. Everywhere it is calculated per student, and the data is collected for the previous 3 years. So average annual capital expenditure per student for the previous 3 years. And BO is the operational expenditure or the recurring expenditure. Now, when I take the capital expenditure, I cannot use to put the expenditure which goes towards construction of a new wing of the building, or a new building altogether, or say, for example, hostel facilities. I cannot include that in the capital expenditure. What can I include then? Suppose I have made a new library, I have purchased books for the library, I have purchased e-journals for the library, I have purchased, say, for example, I have made an innovation and accelerator center, I have made a skill lab, I have made 2 new labs for the botany department or the chemistry department, or a new IT lab I have made. I have collaborated with an industrial house and made a lab for, say, microbiology to test the samples, or I have made a new research lab. All those will go under capital expenditure. What will go under operational expenditure then? The salaries of all the faculty, the salary, what is there in the running of the institution, salary of teaching staff, salary of non-teaching staff, salary to expenses towards, say, for example, I have seminars and conferences embedded in the curriculum. So every semester I have to do them. That is a recurring expenditure, not one-off. If I do one-off, it goes to capital expenditure. So if I do it every semester or every year, because it is embedded in the curriculum, if I have to organize, if I'm organizing internship fairs every year for the students, if I do academic audits, if I am trying to excel the parameters of improving the quality of education, if I invite guest speakers for a particular topic every year. So all this will go under operational expenditure. And if you notice, the weightage given to the operational expenditure is 3 times the weightage which is given to the capital expenditure. So I hope this is clear. Please give me a thumbs up if this is clear. And like Smriti ma'am has said, you can always post your question so that we can go ahead. So when you fill this up, when you fill your NIRF data up, the NIRF coordinator should sit with the accounts officer, study the budget statement and see what can be done. Actually, it should be done much before. Now, if you have already submitted or in the verge of submission, now nothing can be done. But for the next year, you should start beginning from the time that the academic session starts, so that you can take a call, like which faculty should I recruit, how should I do, how should I market my brand so that students don't leave and go away, so my enrollment will be as close to the approved intake, which type of faculty should I recruit, how should I put all the budget, how should I present my budget statement. So all those things you need to plan beforehand. Then only will you get a good ranking in NIRF. Can we go to the next slide, please? So this completes our TLR. Now we go to the next one, which is RPP, or Research and Professional Practice. Ma'am, next slide, please. Yes. So research and professional practice. So that is, it is either called RPP for research and professional practice, or it is called research practice and RP. Now, this is only to do with research publications. So the total number of publications, the combined metric for publications, that is PU, which is awarded 70. So how many publications do you have that has got the maximum weightage of 70? And what is the quality of the publications, or QP, which is assigned 30? Now, for a college category, there are only these two parameters, sub-parameters. But for others, like say, for example, overall a research institute or an university, you have other parameters. Even for management, or say, for example, engineering colleges, they have other parameters like IPR and patents published and granted, which has got 15, and footprints of projects and professional practice, which is FEP, which has got a 15, and publications and citations in SDGs, which is not given any mark as such, but it is a qualitative metric. Next slide, please. So we will see how the marks are distributed and what can we do about it. Now, the first one, which is number of publications, or PU. So RP is equal to PU 70 plus QP 30 for a college. Okay. So for a college, the weightage is 70 and 30. For others, or that is for overall, or where the IPR and the patents are counted, then it is 35 plus 35. Now, for management, there is an extra thing, which is the Executive Development Program or the Management Development Program, MDP. That is also counted under RPP, or Research and Professional Practice. Now, say, for example, there is a college. Remember, this is a totally relative metric. Okay, so you have PU. PU is equal to 70 multiplied by F of P upon FRQ. And what is P? P is the weighted number of publications. How many publications is there in your institute's name? And what is FRQ? FRQ is the maximum number of faculty which is there in your institution full time. And from where are you going to get that number? From the earlier FSR that we discussed, where we had listed the total number of faculty. Now, the reason why it is P upon FRQ is because they means NIRF wants that if I am going to get a score over here, the faculty should be good enough to, each one of them should be able to have one research publication every year. That is the reason why it is divided by FRQ, or the total number of faculty. Okay, that is the ideal situation which I am talking about. Now, all these publications which are there, they have to be on an index database. We, of course, don't have the UGC Care 1 and Care 2 anymore, but even when it was there, the Care 1 journals were never taken into account. It was only the Care 2 journals. That is because the Care 2 journals are listed under Scopus and Web of Science. Now, Scopus is controlled by Elsevier, and Web of Science is done by Clarivate Analytics. The data which is to be filled for the publications is never asked from an institute, but is always provided by a third-party source, in this case, InflibNet, which incidentally also provides the data, verifies and gives the corrected data to NAC or NBA. So InflibNet is the go-to third-party source. Just one thing which I forgot to tell you, if you fill up any data of your faculty who are just a bachelor's, that data of the faculty will be thrown out, will not be counted in the total number of faculty, even if that faculty is a full-time or approved or whatever. So how can we, so what they try to see is, they try to see the number of publications in the ratio of to the ratio of the number of faculty which are present. Now, what are the things which are counted over here? You can have the science citation index expanded, or you can have the emerging science citation index, or you can have the AHNS, which is of the arts and humanities, or you can have the SS, which is the social sciences citation index, SSCI, or you can have the BKCI, which is the book citation index, or you can have the CPCI, which is the conference proceeding citation index. All these are listed under your Clarivate Analytics. That is the Web of Science. So see that your publications fall under any of these categories. Only then it will be counted. It will not be counted otherwise. Now, one common mistake which is often made by the institutes over here, because you see, you are not giving this data. This data they get from InflibNet. And many a times, even in NAC, if you see, this data, whatever you fill, when it is verified, and when it comes from NAC, it is found that हमने तो 20 दिया था, but verify okay आया in the DVV, then it is coming only as 15. Why? Say, for example, I'm publishing a paper. I belong to AB College of Architecture. Okay. So the name of my college is A.B. College of Architecture. So I write it as A.B. College of Architecture. It is there on my website. It is the name of the college with which I have to register in the NRF portal. My colleague X1 writes another paper and gives the name as AB College of Architecture, no dots. Okay. My another colleague X2 writes it as AB Architecture College. Another one writes as AB College of Architecture, comma, Greater Noida. Another one writes as A.B. College of Architecture, Greater Noida, and then the pin number. What is going to happen? None of them are matching. So only the one which I have given, that is A.B. College of Architecture, which matches exactly the name which was given in the NRF portal when the institute registered, is the only one which will be taken into account. So it is always good if the research papers are scrutinized by a committee before they are sent for publication, so that the name remains the same. If it does not, it is not counted. I hope it is explicitly clear with all of you. Can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, the next slide is about the quality of publications. There is less weightage over here, only 30%. So it is 30 into F of CC, that is the citation count, divided by P. So that is again a relative metric. If I take a university, then they also count the quartiles. There are basically 4 quartiles: Q2, Q3, and Q4. Q1 is the top 25% quartile. So that is what is given in the second formula. If you see, 20 multiplied by F of CC upon FRQ plus 15 into top 25P divided by P. That means how many of them came in Q1 divided by the total number of publications. And C rate is sometimes what happens is the articles are retracted. So that number is also taken in case of universities, research institutes, and in case of overall category. FRQ, of course, you know that is the maximum number of faculty as calculated in FSR. So citation is there. So you should, as an institute, there are several ways by which you can increase the citation count. Make an effort for that, because even if you get a few marks over there, each and every mark helps in increasing your ranking in NRF. Next slide, please. So this is about IPR and FPP. I will go through it very fast because it is not there in the college category. So this is for patent calculation. So how many patents have been published and how many have been granted? Patents always have to be published first in the journal, and then journal is not the research journal, but the journal of the Patent Office of India. And then after that, it is taken up to see whether it can be granted or not. So IPR is equal to IPG, patent granted, plus IPP, patent published. So each of them, so IPG is the patent granted, which is 10 multiplied by F of PG, and IPP is the patent published, which is 5 into F of PP. Again, this data is not given by the institution, but taken from a third-party source, which is Derwent Innovation, which is under Clarivate Analytics. For the projects and professional practice, again, research institute or university category or overall or engineering or management. Now here they see two things. One is research funding and the other is consultancy. For research funding, please remember that it is only the core research funding which is taken into account, nothing else. So say, for example, ICSSR gives me 40 lakhs to conduct a seminar on, say, geopolitical, changing scenario of the geopolitical arena. That will not be counted over here, even if I spend the money in organizing a research meet, because it is not core research funding. So this core research funding is an annual amount, and consultancy, what kind of consultancy is generated by the faculty for the institution for that particular year. Next slide, please. So next we go to graduation outcomes. Now in the graduation outcomes, we have the metrics for university examinations, which is GUE, for placement and higher studies, which is GPH, and for median salary, which is GMS. Now we also have, say, for example, if it is a university or if it is a research institute, we can also have doctoral students who get their degrees. For that, we have GPHD, which is the number of PhD students who have graduated, which is not there for a college category. Now let's see how they are distributed and how they are calculated. Next slide, please. Okay, so GPH, which is your placement and higher studies, is 40 multiplied by NP upon 100 plus NHS upon 100. What is this? Is an absolute value because you are going to give the actual figures over here. Now, when I say graduate, I mean the students who enrolled in an UG program 3 years back. How many of them graduated in the minimum stipulated time? What do I mean by minimum stipulated time? if a program is run for 6 semesters, then the student needs to clear in 6 semesters the program for which he or she had been enrolled. Now over here, however, please suppose the student is unable to clear in April, but clears in say August when you hold the supplementary exams. Please include those students also, because if you can see, you have a value of NP. NP is the percentage of graduated students. So if you don't put that value of the graduated students, and if you take that value to be less, then automatically your score falls. So include the supplementary students who have cleared the supplementary exams, so long as they do it within the time frame in which you are supposed to submit the data for your NIRF. So suppose there are 100 students enrolled in the first year semester 1. After 3 years in semester 6, 95 of them, of those students, have cleared your semester 6, the program, UG program, Bachelor of Arts in say political science. Then out of those 95, how many have been placed in jobs and how many have gone for higher studies? That is what is over here in that formula. So I hope this is clear. You can give me a thumbs up. Then we go to GUE, which is 40 into NG upon 100. What is NG? NG is the percentage of students as fraction of the approved intake. Why fraction of the approved intake? So if the intake is 200, then of these 200, what is the percentage of students who have cleared? We are not looking at enrolled. We are looking at the approved intake. So the pass percentage need to be 80% and above for you to get a full score over here, because then it will be NG will be 80. So 80 upon 80 will become 1. So 1 multiplied by 40 will give you 40, which is the full mark. For a university, you have only this university examination, you have GPHD, you don't have placement and higher studies. Now, if I am placed, then I will get some kind of a salary. So the salary, the median salary value has also to be given. So GMS, which is the graduate median salary, is 20 multiplied by F of MS, MS being the median salary. So if I have 10 students, so I list the salary. So starting from 6 lakhs, 5 lakhs, 4 lakhs. So I take the middle two values. People who are on this platform who are from maths or stats background will understand how to calculate the median value. I take the ones in the middle. See that the ones in the middle are high. So only then will you have as close to 20 as possible, and then only you will get your full marks. GPHD is of course the number of PhD students who have been awarded with a degree in the 3 years. They always take a count of 3 years. Next slide, please. Next slide is outreach and inclusivity. So this is something which is which all institutions should look at. And here you have percentage of students from other states or other countries. So you see the regional diversity. Now that has 30 marks. Then women diversity, 30 marks. Economically and social challenge, that is ESCS, 20 marks. And physically challenged, what are the facilities that I provide for PCS? Perception ranking does not come over here. Included wrongly. I'll just take it up in later on. Next slide, please, ma'am. So I have OI, that is outreach and inclusivity, which is RD, which is regional diversity, multiplied by 30, plus WD, women diversity, multiplied by 30, ESCS multiplied by 20, and PCS 20. So RD is 25, sorry, not multiplied, that is the weightage which is associated with it. So RD is equal to 25 multiplied by fraction of the total students from, so out of your total students, how many of them have come from other states? So say, for example, I belong to the Union Territory of Delhi, how many of them have come from Haryana, from say Uttar Pradesh, or Rajasthan, or so on and so forth. So that is my fraction of the total students from other states, plus 5 multiplied by students, fraction of students from other countries. Now, this is a very, very tricky question, because to get it, it is difficult. Basically, institutions which have got a very high ranking, which are highly reputed, people wish to come over there. So if you get a good score over here, means your reputation is excellent, the popularity of the institution is worldwide, and therefore you are getting good score over here. But other institutions, don't lose heart. Try to include students which has got a domicile certificate of some other state. So those students can be included under fraction of total students from other states. Sometimes they come with a domicile certificate which is of another state. So we tell them, you have to make a domicile over here. So you can include over there. Medical and engineering, they have quotas. So you can include that when they appear for JEE, CET exams, even CUET, they have quotas. So you can include those quota values over here. Again, this is an absolute value. Now, WD, or women diversity, takes into account the number of women faculty and the number of women students. So 15 multiplied by NWS by 50, 15 plus 15 multiplied by NWF divided by 20. Now, expected is, again, it is an absolute value. Expected is that 50% of your students should be women and 20% of your faculty should be women. Again, over here, you cannot possibly do anything for the student, but you can definitely do something when you recruit your faculty. You can calculate and see what the score is, and accordingly try and get women faculty so that the score moves towards getting 15 out of 15 over there. Then it helps if you conduct a gender audit. Basically, this question reflects gender equity. ESCS is from socially challenged class. So 20 into F of NESC. NESC is economically and socially challenged. So students belonging to EBC, SC, ST, OBC, NT, VJT. So if the institution has provided a full tuition fee waiver, then they are to be counted over here. Next slide, please. Next slide. So we go to the last one, which is peer perception. No, this one before this. Yeah, the peer perception. Now, the peer perception is basically done from the stakeholders, the academic peers and the employers. It's a single holistic score which looks at the overall performance of the institution. So maybe the vice chancellors, the deans, the heads of the chairs of the schools that are there in your region, they will be asked. The employers which come to your institute for in the placement scenario, they will be asked. So there are 4 informal components, each of 25 marks. So people who give you research funding, people who are, say for example, you participate in the Times India ranking. So all these surveys are conducted, and if you know, if you are the NRF coordinator, you will always receive a mail just before this is conducted saying that no malpractice should be involved in. Basically, how can you, there is no quantitative metrics over here. So how are you perceived by others? So over here, basically you should try and build the brand of your institution. How can you do that? You can have eminent personalities on your board of studies from your region. You can have industrialists coming and giving talks. You can give them token of appreciations during that time. You can publicize about your the good work that your institution is doing through research collaborations, through holding intercollegiate fests. It is of course it is excellent if you can hold it regional. That means not only in Delhi, but in and around Delhi and in around the other states, or the best will be if you can hold it nationally. So these are some of the measures by which you can increase your peer perception. Next slide, please. It's highly confidential, but so the scores you come to know only at the very end. No, I think we have already dealt with this. So can we go to the next slide? We have finished with this. Okay, so I think now you realize that even if we have accreditation, we should go in for ranking because we realize how are we placed vis-a-vis others. Next slide, please. Like we have already discussed all the equations, how the scores are calculated. So now you have got a very good idea that the data which is given is quantitative in nature. There are very few questions which I had discussed earlier where the data is qualitative in nature, like say, for example, for the physical facilities, like EPCS, which is there in outreach and inclusivity. There they ask you what are the facilities which are available for your institution. Like say, for example, do you have a lift for for physically challenged people? Do you have a stretcher? Do you have a wheelchair which can climb up the ramp? Or how many ramps do you have? Do you have a Divyanjan friendly washroom? So these are, so if you click yes, 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 yes to all, you will get your full marks. Next, please. At the end, once you have filled up all the data, then the data is obviously submitted online, and then there has to be a signature where it states that I declare that all that is stated over here is true and correct, and the head of the institution has to sign it. So institution basically bears full responsibility for. So they can ask, say for example the FRU, that is the financial resource utilization, which is there. So suppose you have shown a value and you are getting high marks over there, they can always ask for the budget. They can always ask for the list of the faculty and their qualifications. So they are within their rights to check whether the value that you have quoted, whether it is true and correct. Next, please. So ranking methodology and score correction. So now we know about the different parameters. We know about the different equations. So we know how the scores are calculated. I have also told you a few things about how the scores can be improved. Of course, this is a very general platform, so I cannot be specific and answer. I mean, we need to study the institution to understand how the scores can be. But in general, I have given you certain guidelines about how people lose their marks and what can they do to not lose those marks, and how the institutions are ranked, how you have performed. So when you see your name, so today if I'm at position number 87, then I will feel motivated to go up to 85 or 75 or even 65 the next year. So how do I go about doing that? Next slide, please. Ma'am, next slide, please. So, like I said, what is the role of peer perception? Why do we do that? It increases the credibility, it increases the reputation, brand building, all these things are, and it is, it will increase your enrollment, because when the popularity increases, when the brand builds up, then there will not be a gap between sanctioned intake and enrolled intake. Uh, you will also see that there will be a marked difference in the kind of faculty which comes to you, because all good faculty will want to go to a good institution. So obviously your faculty quality will improve. There will be a good retention factor, so faculty experience will improve. Your research will improve. So everything is related to this peer perception. And of course, you get your final rank. Like I said, how you get it, many of those are relative, some of them are absolute, and then you are ranked with a total score. I have shown you the calculations, how it is done. Next slide, please. So the last one, which is peer perception, is actually very, very important. It controls the scores in the others. So NRF cycle and timeline, it is annual, like we said earlier. It follows a yearly ranking cycle. And we have to fill up the data for 3 years. I explained to you why, because the UG program is of 3 years and the rankings are declared once. So between October to November, generally the portal opens and you are asked to register. And then the generally by Jan we finish our submission, but we do extend the timeline. And then I think this time they extended it up to 20th of February. Generally, it gets completed by Jan. And then there is data validation, verification. There is an analysis. They get the data from the third-party sources, Derwent and Inflipnet. And then if they require some kind of verification from the institute, they do send it over there as well. And finally, the are released by the Ministry of Education. Next slide, please. So, what are the key milestones? You have to be alert. Of course, once you register once, or you go and check if you haven't registered ever, check the NIRF portal, see when the registration opens, select your category very, very carefully. Do the data entry before you finally lock it, because once you lock it, you cannot edit it anymore. Do a review. I told you all the different points where the review, sometimes the review needs to be done much earlier, like during the time of admission, during the time of recruitment of faculty. And then be ready with all your documents for verification, because otherwise, what happens is when they ask for it, that time you should not be scrambling. So they don't give you much time to submit your documents. So there should be an excellent coordination. There should be no like I gave you the example of how you lose your score in research publications. So keep these small things in mind, and I'm sure all of you will be doing excellently in the NRF ranking. Next slide, please. So what are the benefits? Do we have benefits? Yes, we have lots of benefits. A good NIRF ranking helps improve the perception of the institute. Like I said, it increases the popularity, it increases the brand value, it attracts experienced faculty, qualified faculty, the reputation gets built up, you get a lot of funds for it. So I can build research labs, incubation centers, skill hub centers, because everyone likes to park their money where the output will be good. The students and the stakeholders, the trust is built up. You will get a lot of participants from the industrial sector, from the job sector, to come and pick up your students during the placement drives, internship drives. So the alumni will be coming back to give back to you, because they will feel indebted that they have studied in such a good institution like yours. You will be able to understand where your lacunae is, and you can help improve those parameters. And you will also learn team building, team bonding, because you have to coordinate with everyone and submit the data. So yes, there are a lot of benefits in this. Next slide, please. You can make your strategic plan, long-term plan, short-term plan. All this you can do it. You can have a centralized system to capture the data for students who have been placed, students who have gone for higher studies. So the the role of ERP is very prominent over here. The IQAC needs to work in close coordination with NIRF, because much of the data which is there over here will be required by IQAC. So the quality parameters that need to be set, the IQAC is the think tank of the college, so they need to think of ways and means to improve that. uh, you will be very good at documentation, preservation of documents, preservation of evidences, and it will start rolling a process where you will understand that excellence is a question of a process. It is never a one-time thing, or it is never ever only done to adhere to guidelines, but it is your own self, how should I put it? You look at yourself, your inner self, and you try to understand where your weaknesses are, build up your strengths, work on your weaknesses, and improve upon yourself. Next slide, please. So I think this was a question which was given to you all. I am okay. So the correct answer is introduction of new institutions. So when because it is because NRF is gives you a relative value. So if a large number of institutions suddenly participate this year, so what will happen is they will also give their data. So last year, when those institutions were not there, you may have been placed at rank number 50, but if even 10 amongst those, or 5, or even 2 amongst them are better than yours, your rank is going to slip from 50 to 51, or 51 or 52, and so on. So it is relative in nature, and therefore if they are not better than you, your rank remains where it is. If they are better than you will slip down. So therefore, introduction of new institutions may cause a relative drop in performance of existing ones. It's not that you have compromised with the quality of work that you are doing. It is because relatively the others who have entered into the playing field are doing a better job than you. Next slide, please. Okay. Yeah, no, the previous one, please. The previous one. Yeah, an institution claims it's no, this we have done. This we have done. Okay, next slide. This is the same thing. Okay, this is a case study. You can read it and you can come up with the answer that everything depends upon documentation. Good documentation will always give you a good score. That's why I said that the role of ERP is becoming more and more prominent over the years. So you can go to the next slide. I think most of it is what I have already discussed. So they probably have the answer to this. So you have a centralized data governance system. You should always have a committee for NRF, because the amount of data is humongous. So it should not be a one man or a one woman show. And you should always look at how you can improve your research performances. You're collecting the data from students about where they are placed and whether they have gone for higher studies. It's very tedious. So see that you have mechanisms in place to overcome that. And there should be a review process to understand where are you lacking, why are you lacking, and what can you do to improve it. That is your gap analysis. Next slide, please. Yeah, so phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. So you should start, this year is almost over. So once you finish submitting and you get your results, You analyze the scores are sent to the NRF coordinator, take a printout of that, see where you have lost marks, try to understand why you have lost marks, because now you have already got the equations. You should work it out on your own. And then you strengthen the ones where you have lost marks, make a policy, and then see whether you monitor it to see whether it is bringing about any kind of improvement or not. Have quarterly reviews. That's why any process which is to do with excellence parameters is always a process in continuance. So you cannot say that NRF portal has opened today, so now I should wake up and start doing something. It should always be a year-round process where you are continuously doing something to get the output. Next slide, please. So only when you do that, you will get a good outcome. Otherwise, you are not going to get it. So then you will get a good score. So, or you will move towards getting a good score. Otherwise, you will not be able to. If I don't look within myself and understand where is this that I am lacking, if I don't do a gap analysis, I can never improve. Next slide, please. Yeah, okay. Why is it important to understand the weightage associated with each parameter? No, you can show that. They can tell me whether the answer is correct or incorrect. It's marked in green. So what do you think? Is it correct or incorrect? You can reply in the chat box with a Y or a no. Y or N, sorry. So no one is replying. So I don't know whether you have understood the question or you want me to tell you the answer. Okay, I get option D is the correct answer. Okay, only 2 people replying. What about the others? Yes, option D is the correct answer. Yes, option D is the correct answer because it's not about challenging the score which is received. It's about prioritizing your initiatives which will help in improving the overall performance of your institution. Very good. I think our webinar has been a success because all of you have been able to understand the importance of NIRF ranking. Next slide, please, ma'am. Ma'am, next slide, please. So, yeah, that is our conclusion. So, ma'am, will you please take over from here?
Yeah, ma'am, we have a question from Miss Megha in the chat section. She's asking about the list of, categories of publication that gets the count.
Categories of publications. So if you are from the sciences, you have Science Citation Expanded or Science Citation Emerging Index. If there is a category for social sciences as well, so SSCI, Social Sciences Citation Index, or you have AH, that is Arts and Humanities, or you have something to do with books and chapters in books, which is BKCI, or you have something to do with conference proceedings, so which is CPCI, which is Conference Proceeding Citation Index. So you have different things which are there. You can apply wherever you wish to apply. Yes, any more questions? Any other questions?
No, no other questions. We can proceed with the conclusion, ma'am.
Yes, yes. So we have understood that it is not a ranking system, but it is a framework where we have to identify which are the benchmarks which fit our institution well, and how can we improve the overall performance of the institution. Requires a long term and short term planning. So we have to identify our goals, give ourselves a timeline, and then strengthen the output so that we are able to achieve what we had set our objectives to be in the beginning. So I think that's a takeaway for all of us, ma'am. Even when we organize the webinar, it is always our motto to see that we are able to give you some kind of value to what we organize. I'm sure, ma'am, you will agree with me on that.
Yeah, absolutely right.
So this is your takeaway question. You can reflect upon it. You can have a look at it and you can reflect upon it.
Yeah, we can take the slide quickly as we have already addressed the NAC and BA parts in the earlier slides.
Yes. I think someone is asking some question. It is there in the chat box. If you can just read out, or you can unmute the person, whatever you feel like.
And maybe in the end we can unmute if possible. Because let's proceed with the.
Sure.
Yeah.
No issues.
So Dr. K, like we'll unmute you in the end. Like there you can have the direct conversation with the ma'am, and then you can continue with the slide.
So you can go to the next slide. I think the slide is over. And this is something which we always say that NAC is mandatory because you get your funds, you get your grants, you get your autonomy, you get your credibility, you get placement offers for your students, institutional internships for your students, all because of a good NAC score. Yeah, this is the old versus new system, where the old system had something and the new system, which we are all eagerly waiting for and which has not come as of now, it's just a comparison. So let's wait for the new system to come in and we can discuss it further. But your process of achieving excellence should not stop, which is will NAC scores result in higher ranking? I think we take these questions later. I think we go to complete the webinar first. Yes, so I think all are very knowledgeable about all this, about the parameters and the 7 parameters, because I see a lot of discussion when maturity based or binary accreditation. So no grades, nothing. So yes. So let's go ahead. Yes, I think, ma'am, now you will need to come into the picture.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am, for this insightful and thought-provoking webinar on NIRF. We truly appreciate the depth and the clarity you have brought to this important framework for the institutional ranking. So, like I'm sure that today's discussion has given us all a clearer roadmap for how NIRF can guide institutional growth by focusing on key parameters, data-driven insights, and continuous improvement. So this is where Luneblaze steps in as a trusted partner. offering AI-powered end-to-end solutions that seamlessly integrate every aspect of accreditation management, from developing structured document frameworks to implementing efficient workflow management systems. We ensure that processes are organized, transparent, and aligned with the quality standards. Our support extends to evidence creation, faculty training, 24/7 consultancy support, enabling institutions to strengthening the internal capacity while maintaining continuous compliance. So through systematic audits, reviews, analytical insights, we help transfer accreditation from periodic requirements into a dynamic one. The data-driven system that fosters sustained institutional excellence is what we aim for. So moving ahead, like more than 50 plus institutions are already partnered with Luneblaze. I think there is a change in the slide. Okay. I think my screen is frozen. So more than 50 plus higher education institutions nationwide have already partnered with us, to advance their quality assurance frameworks and strengthen the academic excellence. And we invite you all to access the link on your screen to schedule the complimentary demo with Luneblaze and discover how we can work together to strengthen your institutional quality systems, while also taking the opportunity to understand your specific goals and explore how we can best support your institution's unique requirements. So moving ahead, it was truly a pleasure to have you all in today's webinar. And moving ahead, our upcoming webinar will be on IKS, the Indian Knowledge System. That's an important area aligned with the vision and the priorities of national education policy. And coming ahead, we invite you all to continue engaging with these webinar series, and we look forward to your participation in our forthcoming webinars as we collectively work towards strengthening quality and excellence in higher education. So with that coming to an end, this is the question answers round now. I'll unmute all the participants and one by one you can engage with ma'am. So ma'am, we have some questions in the chat section as well. So very first, Dr. Accreditation, if you can please unmute and talk to ma'am regarding your doubts.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, sir.
Ma'am, I have a small question. So
yes,
I'm
sir.
from background. I'm from 6th department. So if I'm publishing the papers in Science Citation Indexed Expanded Journals, will it be acceptable for the NIRF ranking in engineering colleges?
Sir, okay. So, sir, is your institution an engineering institute?
Engineering institution, ma'am.
Okay. So your question, if I have heard you correctly, is that your research publications is in an indexed database, but instead of an engineering journal, it is in a science citation index journal, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it will be considered, so long as it is in the index database. Because you see, whenever you are going to send your paper, there will be a review process after which it will be accepted, correct?
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
So they will not accept your paper if it does not conform to the guidelines of the publications of that journal.
Can I get the publication, ma'am, the details of that publication? Which publication I have to publish the papers for considering my paper in the NIRF ranking, ma'am? Something, anything kind of...
Any journal which is indexed either in the Web of Science or in the Scopus database, you can publish your paper. Because you are from the engineering background, so if it is a research article, you can go in the science citation emerging journals, or you can go in the science citation indexed database, expanded database.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so these two are there. You can also do it in conference proceedings.
Okay,
or
ma'am.
you can publish it as a book or as a chapter in a book. You will
Okay,
have
ma'am.
to check out the names which conform to your area of research in
Okay,
those index databases.
okay, okay. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. This is my doubt, clarification, ma'am.
No problem. I hope I have solved your doubt.
Ah, yes, ma'am. Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Harshita P, like if you can unmute yourself and discuss your questions with ma'am.
Yes, good evening, ma'am. I'm
Good
Harshita.
evening, Good evening, Harshita.
I have a small doubt. Will NAC score results in higher ranking in NIRF? That was my doubt.
No, the two are separate entities altogether. So, and the two, like I said, only 30% of the parameters which are there in NIRF are reflected in the NAC parameters. So you may get a very high ranking in NAC, but you may not feature at all in NIRF, or
Okay,
vice versa as well.
okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes.
So participants, if you have any questions, please feel free to raise your hands or add your questions in the chat section. So I believe there are no further questions. So let's proceed with concluding the webinar then. There are any questions, anything, participants, you can please unmute yourself. Any questions in filing of the NIRF? We are sharing the screen with the data that is required to be filled. If there are any questions, please feel free to raise your hand. Ma'am, let me know if you like to add anything in any of the slides.
If anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask. I think maybe many of them have already filled up the data. So, but you can always, when you get your score, the score is always mailed to the NRF coordinator. Please have a look at it, analyze it with your committee, identify the areas where it can be improved, and take it forward from there.
All right then, as we come to end of today's webinar, we extend our sincere gratitude to Professor Dr. Sreela Dasgupta for sharing such insightful perspective and practical guidance on National Institutional Ranking Framework, NIRF. Ma'am, your session has clearly highlighted how a structured and data-driven approach to NIRF enables institutions to align their vision and mission with measurable performance indicators, strengthen academic and research outcomes, enhance transparency in data reporting, and move towards sustainable institutional excellence and improved national rankings. So we would also like to thank you all the participants for joining us today. Your active presence and engagement have made this session more meaningful and enriching. So we hope that today's discussion has provided you with the greater clarity and confidence in understanding NIRF parameters, data filing processes, documentation requirements, and strategic preparation for ranking success within our institute. So before we conclude, we request everyone to share your feedback through the link provided in the chat section. You can also get the same link in the group on the webinars, the webinar group of the NAC that has been created. And your inputs are extremely valuable and help us continuously enhance the relevance and impact of your session. So participation certificates will be emailed to your registered email IDs within the coming week. And within that time period, you can expect the webinar recording also. So at Luneblaze, we remain committed to supporting higher educational institutions in areas such as NIRF strategy and filing support, data management systems, quality assurance frameworks, NDP 2020 alignment, and the NAC processes. So we definitely look forward to partnering with you in building more structured evidence-based systems that strengthen institutional performance, accountability, and national visibility. So we wish you all continued success in your academic and institutional endeavors. Thank you once again for being a part of today's webinar, and we look forward to welcome you again to the upcoming webinar. So thank you so much to all the participants. Thank you so much to ma'am for your time today. And if still there are any questions, participants feel free to message.
Thank you so much. And on behalf of everyone present over here, on behalf of the organization, please accept my personal best wishes to you as well. And I'm sure ma'am will join me in wishing all of you the very best for your NIRF endeavor.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, participants. Thank you.
Thank you. So with your permission, ma'am, can I please log out?
Sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.